Still alive, are we? Still alive, are we? Still alive, are we? Still alive, are we? Greetings! 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 Welcome! 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 Farewell! 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 Stay sharp out there! Stay sharp out there! Stay sharp out there! Fine work with Hillock. Where'd you learn to fight like that? No, forget I asked. We exiles have no history. Dominus took it from us when he had his blackguards dump us in the water out there. Here, got something for you. Should help you kill a few more of those undead bastards. No, don't bother thanking me. The way I figure it, the longer we fighters live, the longer everyone lives. Nessa's the one keeps the rest of us from losing our minds. To be honest, when she first arrived, I didn't think she'd survive more than a day, 2 at most. She's been proving me wrong every dawn since. Heard a bard once sing that the fairest flowers bloom in the foulest places. He was bloody well right. That hat Bestel wears? Saw him pluck it from the real captain's head right before the cannibals barbecued the poor bastard. Waste not, want not, I suppose. Yes, Bestel's got a gift for telling tales, but I'd never call him a liar. The truth's always in there. You just have to listen for it. I've seen many an exile pass through Lion Eye's watch, and many more that simply pass on. Those letters are my way of keeping track, of remembering. Oriath might want to forget us all, but I'll be damned if I will. The Eternal Empire has some right nasty leftovers. Whether it's something in the air or in the water, no one stays dead in Rayclast. Not the first time. It can take a little while, but sooner or later corpses wake up and go looking for breakfast. Rowers? Overgrown chickens with a murderous streak. If you're not careful, they'll talon your guts out and snap them up like big fat worms. That said, be sure to rifle through their nests if you get the chance. Rowers are like magpies, attracted to what shines. Though they might look like you or I, behind those eyes there's nothing but darkness and hunger. Whatever's got inside those folks is not even close to being human. Founded by Marseus Lioneye as a supply station for his campaigns against the Karui. In its day, Lioneye's watch could be defended by just a small garrison of well-armed legionnaires. What have I got? A handful of starving criminals with driftwood clubs and rusted hatchets. A necromancer. Just the one, was it? Guess the bastard got a bit lonely, decided to make himself some pets. Well, good to see you don't mind getting your hands good and filthy. Here, to mark a dirty job well done. The submerged passage doesn't look like it's always been underwater, and I'd wager it has something to do with those empty sockets in the cliff face. Whatever filled them are long lost now. Though, if they were shiny, who knows? Maybe they're decorating some rower nests. I've spent enough time smuggling from coast to coast to know that those shells don't come from these waters. They're Karui, and look about right to fit into that rock wall in the mudflats. I say complete the set, fit them into the sockets, and stand well back. Now that you've drained that passage, best I warn you about something. I was running down a wounded rower one night's eve when I glimpsed something in that waterlogged cavern. Looked a bit like a sand spitter, only the size of a bloody ox. I reckon it's nesting down in those flooded depths somewhere. If you're going that way, then do us a favor. Spill the old shield crab's guts before it gets hungry and comes looking for us. You managed to kill a granddaddy crab. A pity you couldn't lug it up out of the caves for us. Could have made quite the chowder out of it. No matter. We've got one less reason to fear the dark, and I've got one more thing to thank you for. There's a fine line between man and monster. Brutus, the warden of Axiom Prison, he crossed that line long ago. A big lad, and as you know from Hillock, big lads are slow. Hit and run, that's the way to cut them down to size. Unless there's thaumaturgy involved, then forget the hitting bit, just run. The warden's free of his own prison. Well, since you're so bloody determined to cheat the britches off death, you'd better have one of these, for luck. And when they write the song about you, just be sure to mention that it was Tarkleigh who taught you everything you know. I've travelled inland on the Emperor's Road via Prisoner's Gate. Had to skirt around Axiom Prison. That's the holdfast of Brutus the Warden. Bloody treacherous trip it was. Worth it? There's forest inland, game, berries, fruit, more food than we can scrounge here. But most here wouldn't survive the journey. Would be a damn sight easier if we could pass through the prison. Tell you what, you carve us a path up the coast, find us a way past or through Brutus, and you'll have more than a few lives owing to you. Why would piety go and cut us off from the interior? Well, thankfully, I don't have it in me to know what that witch thinks. But I reckon you'll work it out, once you've lowered Chevron's barricade for us, of course. You found a way to bring down Chevron's barricade? It's at times like these I recall I'm a man of action, not words. Should we encounter each other in the forest, the roast boar's on me, my friend. If you have to quench your curiosity about Mervale, go look at the corsairs that haunt the grave of ships. Like any mother, Mervale's got hungry mouths to feed. Damn me! I didn't think it possible. All these souls Mervale and her brood have consumed over the years. You've done right by those that are dead, and by those who still might live. There's many a way to die in Rayclast. Most of them are mercifully quick. But you get caught alive by the goatmen, you'll wish by any god you believe in that you hadn't. I've heard some of the more superstitious exiles say there's a deity these goatmen worship. Abarath, eater of agony. Sounds like a right bastard if you ask me. So if the goatmen hand you an invitation to go have dinner with the cloven god, tell them where to stick it. That medicine chest you found, it'll do more than you might think. The medicine will run out, it always does, but Nessa won't. Give that girl a sliver of hope and she'll carry it to the end of the world. Got a job for you, if you're willing. There's a pool near the mudflats needs investigating. You'll smell it before you see it. Stinks like a carcass in high summer, but that's not the worst of it. Dead birds walking. Animals don't rise up again the same as people do here. So if they aren't raising themselves, what's doing it for them? The answer's in that fetid pool. Clear the place out and kill whatever's raising those rowers. We've got enough living dead to contend with already. You've seen the fetid pool, have you? Or smelt it, rather. Stinks like a carcass in high summer. But that's not the worst of it. Dead birds walking. Animals don't rise up again the same as people do here. So if they aren't raising themselves, what's doing it for them? The answer's in that fetid pool. Clear the place out and kill whatever's raising those rowers. We've got enough living dead to contend with already. That Karui relic you're carrying looks bloody familiar. Yeah, I've seen its twin stuck in that totem guarding Tukahama's doorstep. If I were you, and in this case I'm glad I'm not, I'd see about putting that eye back where it belongs. It might do nothing at all, but it's at least worth a shot, I reckon. I had a life before Lion Eye's watch. Not much of one by some people's standards, but it was good enough for me. Lily and I, we'd smuggle a bit of booze to keep our purses full. We were good at it, too. Made us a fine partnership, her quick mind and my steady nerves, right up until the day she left me drunk and trussed on Pennant's Quay. By the time the blackguards unwrapped their present, she was halfway to Trathus. That's how I ended up here. Yes, it smarts a bit to look at her, but what right have I to say where the flotsam finally washes up? First we hear that Oriath has lost its bloody mind, and then you turn up. Doesn't take a scholar to work out how these two events might be connected. I don't know what's going on out there, and I probably wouldn't understand it if I saw it with my own two eyes. What I do know is this. The world we knew, it's gone. Now we have to do our damnedest to make sure we don't go with it. Nessa, I saw her one night, running out across the coast, headed in the direction of the mudflats. Called out to her, but she didn't even turn her head. Maybe she couldn't hear me. Maybe she didn't want to. I don't bloody know. I tried to run after her, but she'd vanished into the darkness before my feet had barely touched the sand. So I tracked her, all the way to the mudflats, and that's when her tracks, they just stopped. No sign of meeting someone or something, no sign of a struggle. It's like one moment she was running and the next, gone. Look, I've heard some things about what you've done. Things that beggar belief. Now you can do this. Please. Find Nessa. Bring her back to us. I wonder how much Lily squeezed out of those refugees from Oriath. Yes, she did risk her life and ship to save them, but I knew the Lily of old, a damn fine smuggler. And that Lily never did a good deed that didn't also turn a profit. The submerged passage. It's underwater again, and there's no sign of those shells you used to drain it. Fortunately, there's another way to reach Axiom Prison and beyond. A path I scouted out myself, through what was once the fetid pool, and then along the ridge above it. Problem is, whatever's brought those Karui revenants to life has also sealed the pool entranceway with a bloody great totem. You've seen Nessa. Talk to her. Oh, that's more than I dared hope for, truth be told. This change she's going through, this curse the so-called Brine King has put on her, it can be broken. I know it. You've got to keep going. Follow her trail before it gets any colder. Make your way along the coast, the ship graveyard, even Mervale's cave if you must. By my reckoning, this king's not the sort to venture far from his briny bed. The fetid pool's lost its stink. Washed clean like the autumn rain that gives Theopolis its only decent bath for the year. And turns out, when you scrub away the fetid filth, there's a Karui fortress underneath. Probably built by King Kaum himself. Now home to, I don't even know what. Needless to say, I didn't get too close. But it looks like it's big, Karui, and right royally pissed off about something. You've killed the Karui war god. Can you kill a god? Look, I can't even begin to understand what you've just done. Vestal will be able to put our gratitude into words more fitting of a legend. Me, I'll work with what I know. A solid reward for a damn fine deed. Axiom Prison has been fairly quiet since he saw fit to retire its warden. Afraid that's no longer the case. Chavron of Umbra, the very witch that made Brutus the man he was. I don't know if she's a ghost, a ghoul, or some other death-scorning creature I've never heard of, but she's up there, tinkering away with her black arts and twisting nature around her bony old fingers. Honestly, I don't care why she's come back, or what cruelty she's brewing up there. She's a boil that needs lancing before the infection spreads. Good work clearing another path through Axiom Prison. I'm starting to think those stories I've heard about you might be true. The ship graveyard's blocked off. Damn it! That means that Brine King bastard knows you're coming after Nessa. In that case, you'll have to pass through Prisoner's Gate, follow the mountains, and make your way back to the sea by way of Mervale's caverns. From the sound of it, Nessa's in no condition to venture far from the coast, so she has to be around there somewhere. If Nessa thinks you can use that old rag of a banner to rustle up a phantom ship, who am I to argue? I don't need to understand how she comes back to us, only that she can. I'd hoped for a chance to see Nessa again. Dreamed it like some poor bloody child believing in fairy tales. No, she's not one of us anymore. But at least she's not like Mervale either. Can't overlook a mercy like that. Who knows? Perhaps Nessa is better off this way. Not like this is much of a home to come back to anyway. Look, I know you did what you could, and for that, you'll always have my thanks. With the road to the Frisian forest clear again, I trekked through to the forests beyond to see if the strangeness we're seeing on the coast is also happening inland. What I saw nearly froze my heart solid. The animals there, poor wretches, overtaken by some sort of parasite. As close as I can reckon, they're like termites, burrowing into flesh and mind instead of wood. If I'm right, there'll be a nest somewhere, and a queen. If you can find it, destroy it. Those parasites aren't something we want to see around here anytime soon. Another damn god, you say? Yeah, that figures. A primitive deity from a primitive time, crawling up out of the dirt with a view to enslaving us all with its creeping, bloody offspring. I think we could all do without gods like that. So here, take something for the road ahead. The way things are going, it'll be a tough one. Never took much stock in the stories Lily told. Didn't sit right, those full moon sacrifices her and her ilk would do out on the open water. But now, in light of everything, I'm obliged to reconsider. If it meant Nessa might be spared the attentions of that wretched Brine King, I'd even be inclined to slit a mutineering throat or two myself. I had a life before Lion Eye's reach. Not much of one by some people's standards, but it was good enough for me. Lily and we'd smuggle a bit of booze to keep our purses full. We were good at it, too. Made us a fine partnership, her quick mind and my steady nerves, right up until the day she left me drunk and trussed on Pennant's Quay. By the time the blackguards unwrapped their present, she was halfway to Trathas. That's how I ended up here. Yes, it smarts a bit to look at her, but what right have I to say where the flotsam finally washes up? Those shambling nobles out there on the strand? They left Oriath to die a bloody death, rats fleeing a sinking ship. Seems they learned a bit of the hard truth, though. Doesn't matter how much money you have, you can't outrun death when it comes for you. Can't say they've actually noticed, though. They're still the same flesh-eating bastards they've always been, just a bit more obvious about it now. Seems Tukahama's raised up a host out of whatever afterlife the Karui believe in. I feel for those poor bastards, if I'm to be honest. The Karui haven't had an easy history. Colonized, enslaved, used as pawns in many a war, and now abused in death by their own bloody god. This is why I don't follow any deity. They're all as bad as each other. Seems Tukahama's raised up a host out of whatever afterlife you Karui believe in. I feel for those poor bastards, if I'm to be honest. You Karui haven't had an easy history. Colonized, enslaved, used as pawns in many a war, and now abused in death by your own bloody god. This is why I don't follow any deity. They're all as bad as each other.